Wow.
The race to replace Justin Trudeau has begun. It hasn't been this exciting in years. I can't even do it.
Our times are anything but ordinary.
This is what they want to focus on when we've got highs in cost of living, taxes, and looming tariffs. The obvious frontrunner for the Liberal leadership is Mark Carney. So maybe we should learn a little bit about this guy because he wants to be Prime Minister. He thinks he was destined to be Prime Minister, and he wants to do this without a single vote ever being cast for him, except by members of the Liberal Party.
We need to use effectively a shadow carbon price, meaning that you map into a representative carbon price.
Society is putting tremendous value on achieving net zero. So the companies and those who invest in them and lend to them, who are part of the solution, will be rewarded. But those who are lagging behind and are still part of the problem will be punished.
This guy is telling us that he should be Prime Minister, and he's using his record as Governor of Bank of England as to why we should just hand over the keys to 24 Sussex to him. So let's look at this a little bit so you know exactly what you're getting here with Mark Carney. Mark Carney was the governor from 2013 to 2020. He printed too much money. You think we have a problem with inflation now? This guy was responsible for the record inflation, the inflation that was the highest in the G7 during his tenure at the Bank of England. That's just ridiculous. So if you want to know how bad his money printing was, at one point, Mark Carney had injected 59% new cash into the economy. Now that leads to what we call inflation.
Or you could say loyal member of the Global Central Bankers Club at a time of massive disinflation in the world economy. So the result of that was keeping interest rates pretty well near zero. And that in turn had all the effects we know about in driving up asset markets and housing booms and everything else.
Sounds kind of like someone we know, Justin Trudeau. Did you ever see the graphs that show how everything went up as soon as Justin Trudeau was elected? Well, for the UK, you might as well insert Mark Carney's name where Justin Trudeau's was, and you would have the exact same result. Trudeau, Carney, same problem. Increase in poverty levels here. 150% rise in the percentage of people living under the international poverty line. Let's not forget, this guy said he saved 2 economies. 150% increase of people in poverty, and that's what he calls saving 2 economies. While he was governor of the Bank of England, he actually presided over shrinking GDP. GDP is supposed to go up, not down. So he presided over shrinking GDP per capita of 7%. Now, last time I checked, the economy is supposed to grow, not shrink, especially when somebody says they're an economic savior like he has. Now, if you were to compare Mark Carney's record, especially starting in 2015 when Justin Trudeau took over, you would see the exact same rise in taxes, the exact same rise in inflation, and the exact same reduction in ability for people to afford food, groceries, things like that. And there's something really interesting here. Mark Carney left the Bank of England in 2020. And what started happening in Canada intensely when Mark Carney left the Bank of England? We started to experience the exact same thing that the British started to experience.
Following a developing story out of Ottawa, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tapping former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney to help craft a plan for Canada's economic recovery. That's all according to BNN Bloomberg.
If you look at the graph of how things started and how things ended when he started advising the Liberals, things went to hell in a handbasket economically. Way higher taxes, super high inflation, and cost of living went way up. It's also part of why we're paying $6 for a head of lettuce here in Canada. Not only that, he's surrounding himself by everybody that Justin Trudeau surrounded himself with.
I've been following his career for many years. We've worked together at the United Nations together, so I've known him and I trust him and I have great faith in his abilities.
You can guarantee one thing. Mark Carney believes that he knows how to spend your money better than you do, just like Justin Trudeau believes. You can also bet that when Mark Carney gets the opportunity, he's going to raise your taxes one more time.
Now, so far, carbon prices have been applied sparingly. They've been set far too low, in the single digits on average globally, well short of the estimated $80 to $100 a ton needed by the end of this decade to keep us on track to net zero.
Just like he was in favor of raising the carbon tax time after time after time. He may be trying to run away from that now, but we all know he was in favor of it just until a couple of months ago when the polls went bad. To be so fervent in your belief in the carbon tax and then to all of a sudden do this 180 because you're running for liberal leadership and people don't like the tax, it just shows you have the integrity of a wet noodle, and that's not what Canadians need. The good news is that on March 24th, we are coming back, and we as Conservatives are determined and united to bring down this government and bring about an election as soon as possible so that we can do something that you haven't seen in 10 years. Put you back in control of your life.